It's the Monica Brougham Show featuring Venus in Furs, Proceed with Caution, Sigma Profile Radio Spots, the Osaka Moonlight Combo, I Need Sleep. We will return after this important announcement.
I'm a camera person. You're not going to be able to see me, so that's why I'm saying so move it out. Bye.
And we're back, and on the phone with us today is Jesse Henry from Bee Barf Records.
Yes.
Jesse is a musician, producer, engineer, archivist, DJ, and voice actor. I wonder if you could play us a little something. Just show us what you do.
I'm going to put the phone as close to the speaker as I can, and then I'm just going to mess around with something. Okay. How was that?
That was... What was that?
So that's just a speaking mask that I did some circuit bending on. It's very unpredictable and hard to get like a reliable sound out of it, but every now and then it starts screaming at you in some alien robot voice.
All right. How did you get started in music?
In high school, I got a job at a local record store, and the experience of working there vastly expanded my knowledge of music and exposed me to some more experimental music, the Silver Apples, the Thinking Fellers Union, Klaus Nomi, Zoviet France, Nurse with Wound, The Boredoms, Faith No More, and Mr. Bungle, Stereo Lab. There's so many amazing artists like that. Just showed me how you could push the limits of what music actually could be. My grandfather gave me an acoustic guitar. I knew if I could make it electric, I could take the sounds and process it and manipulate it. So I brought the guitar to a local guitar shop and had him put a couple of pickups on it. And he did a great job, and I heavily modified it myself. That was a way for me to take a guitar and play it in the way that made sense to me. I started a band with some friends from high school. We would get together once or twice a week and just see what we could come up with. A new sound would make me want to write a song.
For all you wet people, we're Osaka Moonlight Combo.
Osaka Moonlight Combo was the first band, very quickly followed by Tel-Fax Trashcan. The band consists of myself with the bear and the cone guy.
The cone guy. Does that have anything to do with Silent Hill or Pyramid Head?
No, because the cone guy was something long before Silent Hill.
Did he always wear the cone, or how did that...
Yeah, terrifying moment. He jumps out and scared the crap out of me. Literally jumped out of my brain. Instantly went to, now you have to wear that traffic cone all the time.
And you said there was a bear involved?
The bear honestly just showed up. There are definitely performances where the bear is not present and others that he is. And to be honest, I don't know when he's going to be there or not. It's hard to describe what it means to be in a band.
Okay, so here's Tel-Fax Trashcan. Next on the timeline was Venus in Furs.
I get a call from a friend that was looking for a band to play at her graduation party. And when we were doing a bit of an improvisational number at the end, I had asked somebody to come up. I said, here, take this, take that, play along. And then he asked, he wasn't sure how we were making the sounds we were making. He's like, how are you doing what you're doing? And I said, well, here's my number. Call me. We'll talk when there's more time. And then I got a phone call and he mentioned, we're trying to put a band together. Do you want to kind of give us some direction? And they ended up becoming a local band called Venus in Furs.
Yes, we're Venus in Furs. Sean, Nick, myself being Lindsay.
Can you tell us about some of the bands that you have played with?
Proceed with Caution, that was a band I got to join for a little bit. They were John Zayat, Wordy, and Little John. They had this fearless energy. John Zayat especially, I love that about him. Pipebomb was another one of those, I'll just call it a record swap era band. They were interested in seeing what I could do with their music. I think they were happy with me just adding to the noise of the whole thing. It was always kind of chaotic, fun group of people to work with.
At some point, you built a recording studio.
Deciding to build my own studio came from finding out how much it actually was to rent a studio. It didn't make sense. I could spend $600 to sit in a studio and have them record it, or I could spend $600 to buy some recording equipment, and I decided to do that. Definitely was a lot of hard work. A lot of musicians that I knew, if I thought that they would be good on something, I would certainly ask. Mickey Hypmanic would often come by and lend some creativity to a session. I never knew what he was going to bring to the project, but it was always cool.
Can you tell me about some of the bands that you've recorded in the studio?
I was able to help local bands like the Caraways or Flightless, Sigma Profile radio spots out of Milwaukee. I know I played the Boredom's guitar on a track for them.
Bacon fat, it's not good for you. It's not considered food. It ain't no good for me. Clogs your arteries. Bacon fat. Bacon fat, bacon fat, bacon fat, Alabama, South America, Indiana, Japan. Bacon fat, it's not good for you. It's not considered food. It ain't no good for me. Bacon fat, bacon fat, my answers, stinky shit.
Sometimes individual people would come through. Dan was a prolific local artist that would put his cassettes on consignment. Some of the cassettes came shrink wrapped with earplugs. I thought that was a brilliant concept.
My name is Smitty. I'm at the Armageddon. My name is Smitty. I'm at the Armageddon. The Armageddon. It isn't very nice. My name is Smitty. I'm at the Armageddon.
I Need Sleep. I received a phone call from them asking if I'd be interested in seeing them perform live. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And they said, cool, well, look out your window because we're in your driveway. I remember going out there and the band I Need Sleep is all set up playing a private show in my driveway. I'm glad I was home when they called me because I'm not sure what would have happened otherwise.
Do you remember when we went to school to learn our ABCs and some numbers too? We'll go to lunch and open my brown paper bag. Peanut butter with jelly and chocolate milk, yeah. And I sat next to you in math class, yeah. You
ask me what is 1 plus 1, it equals 2. So let's get married and have kids. Let's get a cat and name it Darwin. I know you will be my darling back in elementary school. Do-do-do. Do-do-do.
Are there any other bands that you remember?
There was a one-off project between myself and Proswell called Samoflange.
What the fuck is a Samoflange?
One of the main things I used was a 1970s hearing tester that they would use in like an elementary school, and a Yamaha sampler that I had loaded up with Buffalo Bill clips from Silence of the Lambs. That's the best I remember of that. We'll have to do it again sometime and document it better the next time. Charles Danyluk of the Assembly Line People program, he liked to do a lot of performance art, and we played together a little bit in a project. I think it was just called Henry Danyluk.
Do you remember working with a guy named Rada?
Rob, he... I think the thing about Rob, I think he just speaks for himself.
It's okay, I'm Rob Ray, in case you didn't hear me. Basically, I do whatever I want to do. I'm very sporadic and stuff. Do lots of digital hardcore, do lots of just... lots of like warp type stuff. I sometimes do lots of instrumental stuff. Done some metal, not metal, but like basically saying whatever we want and get into lots of trouble bands. None of them actually lasted longer than a day, but we got stuff done. Basically started my music career in the fact that I always got kind of, beat up as a kid like everyone else. But basically I was always like, well, I'll show them. And that driving me, like, when I was about 14 years old, I kind of got into punk rock. But then I got into that, and hardcore, etc., and I was like, rock! And I tried starting all these bands, and I totally sucked at playing guitar, because I was trying to play stuff that was just, copying everyone else. It was already done. It's not much further from just sounding the same. So then I just started looking for new stuff. And basically, I moved to Alabama. I was just sitting around and discovering all this stuff in the used bins for like 99 cents. And I was like, this stuff is awesome. And I started doing all this weird electronic stuff and all this stuff, etc. And from that, I was like, well, I can do this stuff too.
And this is my big break too!
Drum stuff on it, synth stuff, all types of just crazy stuff. Effects, everything. Yeah, I just go crazy with it. And today, I guess, we filmed some of my digital deathcore, and that's just something I made up like a week ago, and I said, hey look, I made something last night, maybe I could play it for all your grindcore kids. And so, I guess it works. Some kids thought it was cool, some kids were like, shut this shit off. But I wanted everyone to say shut this shit off. It's something that just, started when I was a little kid. People I'm afraid of, so I try to scare them away. And that's where I'm coming from, and, you know, that's about it.
With all the projects you've been involved in, do you have any favorites, bands, songs, anything like that?
Definitely Osaka and Tel-Fax. That was more of a songwriting and coming up with ideas kind of thing. Some of my favorites for Osaka Moonlight Combo, Pachinko Frenzy, The Adventures of Peachan, Agent 43, the Creeper theme / Play the Funky Beat, Dame Darcy, Will You Marry Me, and Epic Highway. But they're, you know, it's really hard to say because they're all so unique. I'm proud of all of it.
Any last words of advice for new musicians?
Definitely try stuff. Don't be shy. Pick up something that makes sound that resonates with you. Push an instrument beyond what it was designed to do. Create new tones and textures and ideas. I think there's a freedom in thinking it's okay to go beyond what something is supposed to sound like. Look for sounds and textures in everything, because at the end of the day, that's all this is. It's sound, it's tone. So I'd say don't be afraid to do that.